Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I would like to welcome you to the fastest way to build an audience online, even if you don't have a list or you're just getting started. My name is Barbara Ames, and I am so excited to share this content with you. When I first started my business, I was following half a dozen gurus or so, and I was taking one strategy from one and another from another, and I was getting nowhere fast. And I finally, back then, content marketing was king. And so I was blogging, I was writing newsletters, I was on Facebook posting every day and nothing. And it was always kind of mysterious to me, how am I going to write a blog that nobody's reading? How is that going to get me clients? Well, I finally said, you know what? I don't care what they say. I don't think that this is going to do it for me. And so I decided that what I needed to do was figure out how to grow an audience, grow my list. And I went in search of how to do that. And that's when I found my mentor. And she showed me the exact same strategy that I'm going to share with you today that I used to grow my list by thousands in just 90 days. And once I did that, once I had an audience, then everything changed. My content started landing on people. I started getting clients. My income skyrocketed and everything shifted for me. So I want to thank all of you who took the time to fill out the survey. When you signed up, that's really helped me to make sure that this information is super relevant to you and completely targeted. So I really think you're going to get just the most out of this tonight. Before we get started, I want to do just a little bit of housekeeping. All right, this presentation is absolutely loaded with information. So to make sure that I got it all in a concise manner without too much blathering on as I tend to do, I've pre-recorded the bulk of it. Now, the video portion of this runs for 43 minutes. That's the pre-recorded portion with all the good juicy juice. And at the end of that, I've got a special surprise bonus. I'm including a tried and true proven blueprint for creating a six-figure business in 6 to 12 months. Now, this is the same formula that many, many, many successful multi, 6 and 7 figure coaches have used and continue to use. So I want you to make sure that you stay for that. Of course, what we're going to be focusing on today is the first step of that. That's building your audience. But I'm going to lay out the whole plan for you at the end. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to come back on screen for a live question and answer period. And I'm willing to stay here until everybody's questions are answered. So we might go the full 90 minutes. So with no further ado, take it away, pre-recorded Barb. All right. So you're here, I'm going to assume, because you've come to the realization that until you have an audience, your marketing has nowhere to land. So my intention in the next 90 minutes that we have together is to show you the fastest way to build an audience and get known in your industry. Because once you have amassed an audience of people who are ideally suited to benefit from your gifts, you will be amazed at how quickly things will fall into place for you, how easy it is to get clients and make money. Building that list is the first and most important step towards creating time and financial freedom in your life. And sadly, it's the one step that most entrepreneurs miss. So you're going to love what I have to show you today. It's the fastest way that I have found to build an audience. Now, I'm talking about adding thousands of people to your list in just 60 to 90 days. It's the same system I use to build my audience and that I've mentored many others to build their list into the thousands and that I've seen many coaches use to launch six-figure businesses. So today I'm going to teach you all that I can in the limited time that we have together. But before we conclude, I promise to show you how to take it further. Building an audience has enabled me to not only make money and in a very short amount of time, but to take time for myself, to finally in my 50s, relax and start enjoying my life. And trust me, it's not because I saved up a big retirement cushion like a lot of folks do. I had nothing. And I can't tell you how great it feels to be able to say yes to most of the things I want to do, to have the time then to do them and not have the constant worry about money, just shading everything. So if you've lost your retirement in the economic crisis, or like me, you never actually got around to saving one, don't worry. Once you know how to build an audience and then connect with that audience and then convert those prospects into customers, you can basically create income on demand anytime from anywhere. I know some of you are looking for that same kind of freedom, and some of you are just wanting to have time to raise your kids. If you have kids and a job, you are juggling a lot. And I want to acknowledge you for listening to that voice that's telling you there's got to be another way, and for trusting that voice enough to take the time to be here today. Sometimes it just takes partnering with the right mentor. Someone who can show you step by step the process to put things in the right order for you to achieve your dreams. So this is for those of you who have been working far too much on your marketing and still have little or nothing to show for your efforts, or for those of you who are just starting out and not sure which steps to take first. Now, the language I'm going to be using is oriented to service-based entrepreneurs. So that's anyone who makes a living through their expertise. But the things I'll be teaching you can be applied to any business, products-based, brick and mortar, you name it. All right. Now, there's only 3 things you need to master to have a successful freedom business. The first is building your audience or building your list, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The second is connecting with that audience, and the third is converting those prospects into customers or the sales conversation. Now, once you've built an audience, the rest can fall into place very, very quickly. All right, so let's look at an overview of what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of different list building strategies. The one I'm going to talk about today is not the only game in town, but it is the fastest, and it's also great for people who are just getting started, even if you don't have a niche yet, or you aren't super clear on your target market, or if you don't have a website. So then we're going to set the record straight about social media. There are so many misconceptions, and everybody is just running around, spinning their wheels, thinking they need to be doing Facebook and Twitter and this and that. And we're going to set the record straight on that once and for all. And we're also going to do the same thing on content marketing. So if you're familiar with that phrase, content marketing is blogging, video marketing, newsletters, anything that's creating content. We're going to do a reality check on that today. And then we're going to talk about the best way to connect with your audience, which is email marketing. Okay, email marketing has by far the best conversion rate of any marketing platform out there, bar none. And then I will share with you the fastest way to build an audience online. And lastly, I'm going to share with you a bonus, and that's a blueprint to build a 6-figure business in just 6 to 12 months. Now, I'm not blowing smoke anywhere, folks. You can do this. This is absolutely possible. And I'd like you to be open to the possibility that, as it was for me several years ago when I found my mentor, the key to your personal freedom may just be here for you today. When I look back, my life seems to be a study of time and money. In my world, these two things live in parallel universes that can never seem to intersect at the same time. You know what I mean? When I was young, I had lots of freedom. I had fun experiences and friends and time to do the things that, I could afford to do because actually I was dirt poor. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't work. I did. I worked in industries that I loved, music and then fitness. And I was following my passions, and I always believed that the money would follow. Except that it didn't. It never did. And finally, in my mid-30s, I started wanting things like a house and a car, the American dream kind of stuff. And I was really pretty annoyed that after all those years of following my passions, the money had never showed up. Ever have that experience? Well, so I decided to go for the money. I started getting jobs like waiting tables and office jobs, anything that had a regular paycheck that I could rely on. And then one day I had the opportunity to start a business. Not one where I was performing or helping someone get fit, but a children's toy company. And I thought, well, now that's got to be pretty solid. There's always going to be kids and they'll always need toys. So I worked and worked and worked my butt off, and I learned everything I could about business, and I grew that little company to 7 figures. And I thought I had made it. I found my calling. I'm a business person. I was making lots of money, and I could finally afford that house and a car. I could eat out in nice restaurants. Whew, I must be an adult. And then I got a wake-up call when the economic crisis hit. And I ended up having to sell that business for next to nothing. And there I was, left again with lots of time, but no money. And that's when I realized that I had just spent the last 15 years of my life making money, yes, but I'd had no life. I was working so hard that I had let life just pass me by. You've heard of a corporate slave? Well, I had been a slave to my business. There was so much that I wanted to do and see and learn, and I had kept telling myself, I just have to get to this next level, and then I'll be there and I can relax just a little bit. But that bar kept going up, and I never seemed to get there. Well, so now that I had lots of time again, but no money, I became obsessed with creating a freedom business. And I had learned a thing or two about business and a thing or two about marketing in my last business. And I knew a thing or two about the internet. So how hard could it be, I thought, to use the internet to create a business that would give me time and financial freedom? I was seeing lots of others doing it. Well, months and months later, and no more than a trickle of income to show for my efforts, I had reached the end of my savings and I had to make a decision. Get a job, which after running my own business for so long was like a jail sentence, or get help. Well, I decided that my dream of a life with both money and time in it and at the same time was worth it. And so instead of giving up on myself, I found a way to scrape together enough money to hire a mentor, someone who had done what I wanted to do and who could walk me through those steps. It took a leap of faith, all right. I had figured out everything on my own in my last business, though in hindsight, I can't say that reinventing the wheel had been the easiest nor the fastest route to success. But hiring that mentor turned out to be the best thing I have ever done, because she showed me how to put all the pieces that I had been gathering together and in the right order. And as soon as I did, everything changed. I found the key to creating a business that supports my lifestyle instead of trying to fit my life around a demanding business. It's a whole new paradigm, and it's not that difficult to achieve. You just need to have the right pieces and put them in the right order. If you really want to make money quickly, stop blogging, stop making videos, and stop working on your website, for crying out loud. Focus on building your email list, a list of targeted potential customers. All right, I'll get off my high horse. So let's look at some of the pros and cons of different list building strategies. All right, so networking. Networking can be a list building strategy as long as you collect the information, that is the email address of the people who are interested, who connect with you, that you meet. Now, what I don't mean on this is going to a networking event and collecting everybody's card who's there and putting them on your list. Not only is that unethical, it's illegal. So we're talking about finding people who are targeted potential customers. So if you go to a networking event and somebody says, wow, you do what? Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, collect their information, and that's somebody you're going to add to their list. So the pro to that, to networking, of course, is that it's very easy to establish a connection with somebody face to face. You know, you make 1,000 judgments a minute about somebody, and if somebody's connecting with you enough to hand you their card, you know, that's a pretty good potential client for you. The con is the obvious. It's excruciatingly slow. You know, first of all, you got to put your face on, and you got to put your best game on and go to this event. And maybe you'll run into one or two people, if you're lucky, that would make good clients for you. So networking is a way to build your list as long as you're collecting people's information, but it can be really, really slow. So next, I'm going to group a bunch of different things into one category called borrowing other people's audience. All right. So what that means is when you go and stand in front of somebody else's audience, and you might do that, you might speak, for example, to a group of people who would have a high likelihood of being an ideal client for you. Or blogging can follow into this category, but not blogging on your own website, especially if you don't have anybody regularly visiting your website. Instead, it would be blogging on somebody else's website. So a website that has a lot of traffic, that has a lot of people already going there. So you're borrowing their audience. Another way would be giving interviews. So podcasts are very popular these days. Perhaps you can become a guest on somebody's podcast or a radio show. And so that way you're exposing yourself to somebody else's audience. And you just want to make sure that you have a way to collect the information of people who are interested in you and your services. Now, the cons here, well, speaking, of course, if you're afraid to speak or to get in front of an audience, and for most of us, it takes a while to really build that speaking muscle up, and then to actually get somebody to let you speak in front of their audience, so to get a speaking gig. Blogging, similarly, you need to be able to write, to write very good, clear articles that your target audience would find valuable. And then, of course, you need to find somebody with a sizable audience that is willing to post your article on their site. Now, all of these strategies involve a fair amount of skill and a fair amount of luck, to be honest with you, diligence and luck. And that brings me to advertising. Now, you can build a list very quickly and very effectively with advertising, but you're going to have to plunk down a lot of cash to do it. So Facebook advertising, for example, is an excellent way to build a list, but boy, you better know what you're doing. And you're going to need to spend a minimum of about $1,000 a month just to even make the needle move on this. So until you are at a point in your business where you're generating enough money to reinvest at least $1,000 back into building your list, I suggest you save that for later on. That's a more advanced strategy. Now, strategic partners, that is by far and away the most cost-effective way to build a list quickly. Now, what this involves is finding a partner who has a similar audience to you and getting them to basically promote you to their audience. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would they want to do that? Who am I? I'm just getting started. Why would somebody who's farther along in their business than I am, with a much larger audience than I have, want to promote me? And I can tell you that there is one underlying principle that is critical to the success of any relationship, and that is the win-win principle. If you strive for every transaction to be a win for you and a win for your partner, you will have a winning relationship. So to offer a win to any partner, whether it's a business partner, a vendor, or even a customer, you simply need to understand their needs. Just spend a little bit of time thinking about what they need. What are they struggling with? What problem do they have that you can solve? Now, the audience building strategy that I'm going to share with you today does just that. It addresses your ideal strategic partner's most basic needs. It's a way for you to solve their problem. Even if you're just starting out, even if you aren't super clear yet on what your business is. So you can solve their problem and build your audience at the same time. All right, so before I go into that strategy, I want to set the record straight about social media. Look, only about 2% of your people will see your updates. And so while having a lot of friends and followers may be good for social proof, it's not the best way to get clients or even to build a list unless you're ready to plunk down a lot of money to do it, like we discussed previously. And let's do a reality check on content marketing. So content marketing is a great way to build a relationship with an audience. So if you don't have an audience yet, it's best to just put that on hold until you do. Now, when I talk about building an audience, I'm talking about building a list. And what I mean by that is building an email list. Now, why email? Isn't that spammy? Well, next to calling people on the telephone, email is the best way to dialogue with someone and the best way to connect with them. Email has the highest ROI, which is a return on investment, of any method of getting and staying in front of people. So it's the best and it's the least expensive. So that's why our audience building consists of building an email list. Now, next to your expertise and your talents and gifts, an email list is your greatest asset. It is yours and nobody can take it away from you. For comparison, search engine traffic can disappear in a heartbeat when Google decides to change one of their algorithms. And you have no control whatsoever over how many people will see a Facebook post, for example. And let me set the record straight. Facebook likes do not correlate to customers. Now, it feels kind of warm and fuzzy to see people liking you, but you got to realize that it's not a big deal to click a button to like a page that you maybe don't even care about. But you sure think twice before giving somebody your email address, don't you? Think about it. You only give someone your email address when you feel like you're going to get something valuable in return. So the people that will give you their email address are much closer to purchasing than someone who just likes your page. Email is simple and affordable. All you need is an email service provider. And there are free service providers like MailChimp and low-cost paid services like Aweber and GetResponse that cost just about $30 a month and are very easy to use. So truly, email is king. And our audience build is going to consist of collecting people's email addresses. All right, you ready for it? Here it comes. Drum roll, please. The fastest, best way to build an audience online is by hosting a telesummit. Now, what's a telesummit? Well, it's simply an online multi-speaker event that features a series of experts talking on a certain topic, like living with diabetes or adopting a raw food diet or living with divorce, something like that. Now, the host of the telesummit finds and then interviews various experts on the theme of the summit. So typically these interviews are pre-recorded and delivered to people who have asked to join the summit. These people have received an email announcing the summit, and they opted in, or in other words, entered their name and email address and requested to join. Now, the first time I came into contact with the telesummit was as a participant. My husband and I were, shall we say, working on our relationship. And I received an email about a relationship summit that featured top relationship experts. So, of course, this caught my attention and I opted in. So every day for 10 days or so, we received an email with that day's interviews. And these interviews were great. We learned so much. We got tons of great tips and tools, and we really started to see things through a different lens. It was a really valuable experience for us. Now, each interview in this summit was available for just a day or so, but we did have the option to purchase all of them to listen to at our leisure, which we did. Now, at the time, I had no idea that this was a list build for the host. The email I received announcing the summit was from our marriage counselor, who was one of the speakers featured. So, of course, we were on her list, and so she sent us and everybody else on her list an email to promote the summit. So when we opted in, we were now on the list of the host of the summit. And as my husband and I listened to each interview, we got to know the host, as you do with the host of a favorite radio or TV show or a podcast. And when he started sending us his newsletters, we recognized him and started reading them. And as he took us down his sales funnel, offering us tips and tidbits and more valuable information, we became prime candidates for his services because we felt like we knew him, we liked him, and we trusted him. But that all started with the telesummit. Now, we had no idea who he was before that summit, and he had no list. Pretty cool, huh? It gave him exposure and an audience. You see, the experts that he gathered together to interview already had substantial lists, and the requirement for them to participate in his summit was that they promote it to their list. Now, why would the experts agree to promote his summit? Because they want exposure to the other experts' audiences. You see, list building, reaching new audiences, is something you will always be engaged in and a major part of any successful entrepreneur's marketing. So each expert offered a free gift at the end of their interview. And when a participant opted in to receive that gift, in exchange for their email address, of course, now they're added to that expert's list, and that expert can now nurture the relationship with their newsletter, blog post, or video. It's like a big cross-pollination party, and it's a giant win for everyone. The host, who may not have a list at all, leverages his time and effort to put the whole thing together, and he ends up with a list of thousands. The experts invest an hour or so of their time for the interview, send a couple of emails to their list, and end up being exposed to the other experts' audiences and growing their list. And the participants, well, they get hours of free, really valuable information on a topic they're interested in and introduced to experts they probably wouldn't have heard about otherwise, people who may end up helping them make some amazing shift in their life. All right, so let's look at some of the benefits of doing a summit list build. Well, first of all, the telesummit list build model is a tried and true blueprint that's been proven over and over again to work. As long as you follow the blueprint, whether you're a newbie or experienced, you can build a list of 2,000 to 4,000 in 60 to 90 days, and many people have even built a larger list in that time frame. Many successful entrepreneurs continue to use this model as their main list building activity year after year. Have there been people who have hosted a summit and not built a list into the thousands? Yes, you bet. But every time it's simply that they didn't follow the steps or they left out a really important piece. Well, it's affordable. The main investment for this method is just your time. Now, you're probably going to want to hire a VA to help with some of the background technical stuff and invest in some pretty low-cost technology. I'm talking $100 here, maybe $30 there. And we'll talk about that more in a second. But really, that's just about it. And of course, as with any strategy or blueprint, you'll get the most bang for your buck if you hire a mentor to walk you through the steps. But that's probably something you want to consider for your business anyway. So this is a great way to position yourself as an expert among experts. Another name for the telesummit model is the reporter model. When Oprah invites guests to be interviewed on her show, for example, she's seen as an expert among experts. So you are automatically positioned as an expert right along with the experts in your field that you're interviewing. So you can get huge credibility right out of the gate. There are many highly successful experts who rose from obscurity and launched their careers on the back of a telesummit. And this is a really great way to cultivate relationships with JV partners. It can be really difficult, not to mention lonely, growing a business by yourself. And this is a great way to immerse yourself in an industry you love and meet and cultivate relationships with the people who will help you, with potential joint venture partners who can mentor you, help jumpstart your business, and offer immediate affiliate income opportunities. And this is also a great way to receive mentoring and share wisdom. When you pick a theme for your summit about something that you're curious about or something that you yourself are struggling with, I think you'll find that you will receive great wisdom from the experts you interview, and you'll end up learning so much yourself. I know that's been the case for me on every summit that I've hosted. I have come away from it just inundated with new knowledge, new perspective, and different views. It's really flooring. So what does it take to host a successful telesummit? Well, the backbone, the foundation of your summit is a compelling theme and an irresistible title. Now, as with any marketing, the subject matter and the way you communicate it to your target audience is key. So it's really important to have a theme that is attractive to a large number of people. And you don't want to spend all that time and effort on a topic that doesn't get people really excited. And the themes that will attract people the most are things that revolve around what they're struggling with. So something that helps them solve a problem too. Now, you want to pick a theme that's broad enough that you can invite experts to speak whose services would make a good complement to your services. So, for example, if you're a web designer, a theme about creating WordPress blogs might be too narrow. The experts that are likely to participate in that theme would likely be direct competitors. So instead, what you want to do is look at what your ideal client is trying to achieve. So if you're a web designer, your ideal client is probably interested in branding, the whole topic of branding. So a better theme might be branding for success. And you would become the expert in website development, and you would invite experts in other areas like graphic designers, copywriters, etc., to talk about the different other aspects of branding. Now, these experts could become great JV partners in the future, you see. You want to have at least 20 experts who already serve audiences of your ideal customer. And you want these experts to have lists of thousands. This is really important. So not every expert in an industry is a good candidate. Just because someone's authored a book doesn't mean that they've focused on list building. And if they don't have a list, they can't help you. And I'm sorry, but Facebook followers just don't count. Facebook followers do not correlate to customers or clients. But the experts that do have large lists, by and large, they already understand the process. They've already been on numerous telesummits or interviewed for different shows, so you don't have to educate them. They already get it. They understand the collaborative value, and they're set up to send and receive the technology that makes this thing work. A summit is a launch, just like any other launch. You need to pick a date and stick to it, and you need to have a well-timed sequence of messages going out to the audience as well as to your partners so they don't forget, as well as someone, typically a VA, to publish and unpublish the interviews, as the interviews are usually available for 24 hours. Now, the number one mistake that I see entrepreneurs make is when they try to reverse engineer the process by being a participant. There's a lot going on in the background of a successful launch, and it's not always apparent from the surface. The other mistake I see people making is in the communication or lack thereof. So, of course, there's communication to the participants, releasing the interviews every day. But really, the most important communication, I think, in a telesummit is the communication between the host and the experts. So that's a relationship that's really important to cultivate and build as you are going through the process of putting together the summit. And that's where I've seen a number of summits fall flat on their face, is that the host hasn't taken the time to really build that relationship with their experts. And of course, that brings me right to expert management. So again, communication with your experts is key to a successful telesummit. Getting them the promo copy on time, making sure they know when to promote and what they need to do. These are some of the things that can make the difference between a successful list build summit and one that's maybe not so much. Okay, and then the systems and technology. Now, there really isn't a whole lot of technical stuff that has to go on behind the scenes of a telesummit, but there are some things that you'll need. So, for example, you'll need to host the summit pages. So these are the pages that participants will go to listen to the interviews. And you'll need to set up an opt-in page, or sometimes called a sales page. And this is simply a page that entices somebody to sign up for your telesummit. The two most used platforms for this are OptimizePress or Lead Pages. Now, OptimizePress is a WordPress theme that can also be used as a plugin. It's about $100 or so. And to use it, you'll have to have or get WordPress. And then you'll need to get a domain name for your summit and hosting for your WordPress site. Now, Lead Pages is pretty cool because it's a standalone, meaning that there's no additional hosting fees, and it's got a really easy plug-and-play set of templates that you can use, primarily for the opt-in page. Now, you'll also want to have a way to track the clicks and the opt-ins so that you can get a sense for how many participants each expert is getting and what their opt-in rate is. And that'll give you a good sense for who would make a great JV partner, which expert's audience you are resonating the most with, you and your summit topic. And then you'll need some technology to actually conduct the interviews. So Skype is one that a lot of people use, both for video interviews and for audio. And of course, it's free. And you'll just need a way to record the interview. And there are call recorders, both for Macintosh and for PC, and they cost around $30. Another free way to record a video interview is Google Hangouts. But just a little word of caution there. The technology can sometimes trip up people who aren't familiar with it. You kind of want those interviews to go through pretty smoothly. Now, if you're doing an audio-only interview, you can also use a technology called Instant Teleseminar to record your interviews. And when you use Instant Teleseminar, you can record the interview on the telephone, which is really convenient for a lot of people. And the neat thing about Instant Teleseminar is that they will also host your interviews, so you don't have to have any extra technology for that. Now, if you did your interview on video, you will need to have a host for the video. You don't want to put it on your own website, on your own server, because it'll slow your website down. So the best thing to use is Vimeo or YouTube, which are both free or low-cost solutions. And finally, you'll need an email service provider like MailChimp or Aweber or GetResponse, and I spoke about those earlier. Okay, lastly, but most important, is a solid follow-up strategy. This is where I see so many entrepreneurs run into problems on home study courses because these courses don't teach you what to do after your summit. And that is where the money is made. Okay, so you've built your audience and you've got a list of engaged prospects. Now what? This is where so many fall down and miss the real opportunity. They're right on the brink of creating freedom and enough income to enjoy it, and they're just missing those last steps. Because there is a huge opportunity to launch a six-figure business after a summit. Hundreds, maybe thousands of successful entrepreneurs have done so and continue to do so year after year. Because once you have the formula for building your list coupled with a solid follow-up strategy, then it's just a matter of repeating and perfecting it to produce income on demand anytime from anywhere. Now, the follow-up strategy is as important as the list build, if not more so, and it can get quite involved. Most of the revenue from a telesummit is not made from the upsell of interviews or even from affiliate sales, although these can help you break even. Most of the money is made on enrolling people into your program. Because these are people who now know, like, and trust you. So the follow-up is critical. Find out exactly what they need and offer that. I have seen great success building a six-figure business on the tail of a summit by following a tried and true enrollment program. Building your audience is the first step, and you've got nothing until you've got an audience. But once you have that audience, it's the next steps, designing a premium program and enrolling clients in that program that will get you into significant income very, very quickly. Whew. All right. That was a lot. Did you get it all? If not, don't worry. I'm going to open it up for questions in just a minute. But before I do, I want to lay out for you a blueprint for building a six-figure business in 6 to 12 months. Sound good? All right. So here it is. Now, this is a very effective, tried and true roadmap that has worked for many. If you just follow the steps and don't get distracted, stay committed and see it through to the end, you can quickly grow a six-figure freedom business in 6 to 12 months. So the first step we've gone over today, and that's to host an online summit. Now, as I said, there's a lot of moving parts to that, but it is by no means a difficult process. Now, once you've done the summit, now you just need to survey the audience that you've built, find out what it is that they're looking for, and design a premium program around solving their problem. Then it's just a matter of enrolling high-end clients. So this is the sales conversation. This can trip people up a lot, but it's not a difficult thing. It's something that takes practice and, again, a step-by-step model. Now, at that point, you're making income. Wow. Woohoo. You are starting to see income and your business is growing. Now what you need to do is grow your connection with your audience. Just learn how to connect with people through email, through webinars, through other trainings that you'll create. And then it's simply a rinse and repeat. Those first 4 steps, you just rinse and repeat and perfect to grow your business. Now look, I'm not saying that this is simple or easy. You need tools, knowledge, and support to get you there. But if you're committed and willing to show up day after day and stay focused on the step that you need to be on, you can achieve business freedom. And it won't take you years to get there. With good guidance, I've seen many get there in 12 months or even less. Now, I would love to help you achieve this kind of freedom and flexibility. I want to be there to hold you by the hand and help you do this. So I'm offering a free custom business freedom planning session. I've cleared some time in my calendar so I can offer a limited number of free 30-minute phone or Skype sessions with me where I will take a look at where you are in your business, where you want to go, and what your options are for getting there. Now, if you're serious about creating business freedom, here's what I want you to do. Just click the button on your screen that says apply to fill out a short application for this free session. Or you can type businessfreedomplan.com into your browser. Now, this application will tell me where you are in your business and what you're trying to accomplish so that we can make the most out of our time together. Look, every business is different, and this is your opportunity to get some focused attention on your business so you can start creating a business and a life that you love. Now, I only have a limited number of sessions available, so I can only help those of you who are serious and act now. Once you've filled out the application, if you're a fit and I feel you're a good candidate, I'll send you a link to schedule the session. So click the button that says apply or type businessfreedomplan.com into your browser. All right, so let's open up the floor for questions. All right, so what'd you think? I know that was a lot of information, and it's a model that is used and by many over and over again. It might sound difficult on the surface, but it really isn't. It's got advantages in so many different advantages to it. So let's open up the floor to questions. Carrie is asking, since this involves interviewing people, and that seems a little bit scary to her. She says she's never interviewed people before. So I totally get that, Carrie. I'll tell you, when I did my first telesummit, I had never interviewed anybody either. And so I picked an audio summit instead of video. It was a little bit easier. And I'll tell you, some people, I have a lot of clients who like that's the funnest part for them is the interviewing people. For me, it was terrifying. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what to do. I felt awkward. So what I did is I scripted all my questions in advance. And by scripting it, I had a level of comfort that made me feel better. And most of the experts that participate in these telesummits, they've participated in a lot of telesummits. And so they pretty much have their thing down. They know what they're going to say, and you can ask them in advance to give you questions. And so I would, I would just ask them the questions that they had given me, and it sounded kind of stiff, I admit it, but you just kind of get through it. And after, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 interviews, I started relaxing into it. And I got more and more comfortable. And as I got more comfortable, I started deviating away from the script. And it was really funny because at that point, at the end of the interviews, I would get off the phone with experts and they would be saying, wow, you're a great interviewer. That's one of the best interviews I've ever had. I'm like, really? Me? Are you kidding me? But, it's like anything. It's like any muscle. You have to exercise it before it gets strong. And remember, these are potential JV partners. These are people that you can make affiliate income with, and they can help you. They can share their audiences with you in other ways besides just the telesummit. And that 30 or 40 or 50 minutes that you're spending on the phone with them is really building a relationship, when you're doing the interview and before the interview and even afterward. I've developed some really just amazing relationships with JV partners or people that I first met because I interviewed them on my telesummit, and they've become just incredible partners and really wonderful mentors too. Let's see what else we have. Yes. So Carrie is asking, how does this differ from recording and sharing your podcast? That's a great question, Carrie. So it is no different from recording and sharing a podcast in terms of you're recording an interview and you're sharing it. The difference is that with a podcast, the podcast has the same problem that a blog does, which is that just because you record a podcast does not mean you have an audience. And that's what people struggle with who start podcast shows. I actually have had a few clients who they thought they would get their fame and fortune by doing podcasts, and they put all this time and effort and money into the technology and getting experts and interviewing, and then they release their podcast show to crickets. It's the same thing as a blog. So the vehicle is the same. Essentially, you're doing the same thing. You're interviewing people. But when you're interviewing people for a telesummit, you have an audience already. And because you've borrowed the audience of all the experts, because the experts are promoting your telesummit on their list. And that's how you are getting the names on your list. So I hope that answers that. So Lisa is asking, is Instant Teleseminar the name of a product? Yes, sorry, it is. I didn't make that clear on the presentation. Instant Teleseminar is a program where you can record anything, really. It's usually interviews, or you can give workshops or whatever. And the great thing about Instant Teleseminar is that you can do these interviews over the telephone. So who doesn't have a telephone? It's very easy to use technology. I like to do my telesummits on Skype, but every once in a while, one of my experts will say that, it's easier for them to be on the phone. They can move around the house while they're doing the interview. So some people will prefer doing a phone interview, and Instant Teleseminar is a great technology for that. There are others too. Lisa, how do you track opt-ins? That's a great question, Lisa. Most people will use a software called Pretty Links, which is actually a plugin for WordPress. So that's going to show you how many people are clicking on your opt-in, and then how many people are actually opting in. And that's really important information, because that's telling you, your telesummit is being promoted. When the expert sends their email out, you'll receive a number of clicks automatically to your opt-in. People that are curious are going, oh, what's this all about? So how many clicks you get is going to tell you how much your topic is resonating with that expert. Now, of the people who click on it, then you have another number. That's the people who opt in, the people who say, yeah, I want to participate in that telesummit. Those are your opt-ins. Now, the ratio there between the number of people that click and the number of people that opt in, that's going to tell you how many of those people from that experts list are resonating with you, right? So the number of clicks tells you how many people are resonating with your topic, and the number of people who are opting in tell you how many people are resonating with you. So that will tell you who is going to make great JV partners for you. So I'm listening now. Oh, Joni again asks, where do you get your experts and interview questions? Yes. So that's a big topic there. And, you just got to hunker down and do some research. And the internet makes that really easy to do. I love doing a lot of research on Amazon, book authors and things like that. But as I said in the presentation, just because somebody wrote a book doesn't mean that they have a list. So there's lots of different ways. It just requires hunkering down to figure out who would be a good speaker for the topic that you've chosen. And let's see, we've got John is saying that he's the author of a book, and I'm looking to build a list of leaders and corporate executives who'd perhaps buy this book in bulk or hire me as a coach. How might a telesummit promote these goals? Okay, that's a question, John. So what you need to do first, of course, is build that list. So you are looking for buyers of your book and people who would be a good candidate for your coaching. So what you want to do is pick a topic, pick a theme that these people, you're saying leaders and corporate executives, would really ring their bell, something that they'd be really interested in and want to opt in with. And then you want to find experts who these people are already following. Believe me, they are following people. They have signed up for the email list of numerous people. So when you find these people, These are the people that you're going to ask to be experts. So you have a theme. You're finding a theme that's going to resonate with your ideal clients. Then you're looking for experts who your ideal client would like to listen to. And these are the people that you're interviewing. So you see how you're giving really great value to your ideal client. It's always give, 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 right? Those people are already on the list of the experts that you're inviting to speak, to interview. And so when they opt in for the telesummit, now they're on your list. And now you have that list in the thousands, the perfect people that you want to speak to, your leaders and your corporate executives. I'll tell you, I would love, love, love to speak further with any of you that want to learn more about this model in detail. And that's why I'm offering that free business freedom planning session. And we can look at your business because every business is unique. Everyone is different, has different characteristics. Like John, your business with looking for executive coaches, this is a great model for you. And we can sit down and really discuss how this would look for your business. So I'd like to invite everybody to sign up to apply for that free business planning session. Just go to businessfreedomplan.com to sign up as well. There is an application, and what that does is it allows me. Oh, great. Awesome, John. I look forward to talking to you. John signed up. But that application is just going to tell me a little bit more about your business so that we can use our time really effectively while we're on the phone together or Skype. So let me see what else we have here. How do I know if an expert has a big list? This is a question from Linda. Good question, Linda. All right, you ready for this? You ask them. You ask them and they get it. They get that you people, the experts, I'm telling you, everybody who's making serious money in the coaching industry has participated in numerous telesummits and they have a big list. And that's how they've grown their list. That's one of the ways that they've grown their list. It's really one of the most popular ways. Let's see what else we've got. So simple. Linda, it is true. Everything is simple. It really is. Follow the steps. You find a tried and true proven program. You simply follow the steps. And when it seems simple, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. We overcomplicate things, don't we? It's like amazing. So do you need so here's another question. Gretchen wants to know, do I need another computer to dedicate to this? And to dedicate to the telesummit? No, you don't need another computer. Mm-mm. Do you even need a computer? Well, yeah, you pretty much need a computer. It's really not that tech heavy. It really isn't. There are some pieces that are technical. Now, a lot of people, most people, in fact, will hire a VA to do some of the background stuff. And, really hiring a VA is a really positive, good step to do in your business anyway. So it's great because this process, I'll tell you, one of the things I love, love, love about the telesummit model, just going through the telesummit, producing a telesummit, it takes 60 to 90 days. It's like a microcosm of everything that you need to learn to be successful in business, all right in that one little process. Well, it's not really little, but it's absolutely amazing. And it will put you through the paces. It will throw you into so much fear and anger, not anger, but it's like anything that you are ever going to experience in your business will come up when you are doing a telesummit. And that's one of the reasons that it's so important to have a mentor, to have somebody help walk you through those steps, because when all that stuff comes up, sometimes you just need somebody to say, it's okay. Don't worry. Here's the next step. Now do this, now do that. Because when you do, and when you stick it out, you end up with a list of thousands. And that's the first step. That is the first and most important step towards getting to that six-figure business. And again, it doesn't take years. Please stop believing that it takes years to build a six-figure business, because it doesn't. Let's see what else. So Bonnie, I promised. So Bonnie is from overseas and she doesn't have a US number. We can do this by Skype. So that I'm offering this session by Skype and by phone, and you don't have to be from out of the US to do the Skype session. Sometimes it's just nice to see each other while we're talking. So both of those, you'll have an opportunity to sign up for either the Skype or the phone session. Let's see what else we have. At the go. Oh, well, thank you, John. John was impressed with the experts that I assembled, and you, John, can do this too, really. And it's so much fun. It's really, really a lot of fun. I was like breathing there, going, it's such a learning process. It really takes you through everything, but man, you just come out of it in so many ways a richer person. Let's see now. What does Carrie say? Do you have a list of specific skills a VA should have? I want to be sure I'm looking for the right skill set. Yes, Carrie, I do. That is included in the program that I teach, that I take people through. And if you schedule a planning session, I'd be happy to share that list with you. You pretty much just need to go to Elance or hiremymom.com, or what are some of those other places like that? I can't think right now. But they have, if you go there and say, I'm looking for somebody to help me with a telesummit, there's hundreds of VAs that'll know what you're talking about and know the software that's involved. Optimized Press, Lead Pages, and an autoresponder are really your main tools for that. So let's see what else we have. And I'm going to scroll down. I might have missed some from earlier. Oh, Gretchen asks, what's a VA? Sorry. A VA is a virtual assistant, and there are many, many, many out there. It's a really, really great way for somebody when you're just starting out. You're not ready to hire somebody full time. You're probably not even ready to hire somebody part time to come into your house and work for you. You're not even sure what kind of tasks you should be assigning to them. So hiring a virtual assistant is a really great first step. So for example, with the telesummit, there are specific skills that you need a VA or virtual assistant to do. And so in the interviewing process, you'll make sure that they'll do them. And here's the great thing too. You don't need to know how to do this stuff. You can, you can know how to do it or learn how to do it yourself. But oftentimes I find with entrepreneurs, that's not the best use of your time. It really isn't. I kind of can get hung up in that stuff because I have a knack for it and I kind of like to do it. But oftentimes I'll end up down that, that rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to do this. And it's just like, this really is not the best use of my time. And a VA could, for like 20 or 25 bucks an hour, have done this in like 10 minutes. So, it's an important business lesson there too. See now, not sure what the ballpark costs for hosting. Well, okay, so Laura is asking what the ballpark costs for hosting. You mean hosting a telesummit is what is how I'm reading that. So Laura, I will tell you that there are people, I have a good friend, in fact, who will do the entire summit for you. That is absolutely everything except for researching the experts and doing the interviews. So in her case, and this is all she does, is she's not hosting them, she's putting it together. She's a telesummit expert, and she will put the whole thing together for you. So all you have to do once you've done the research is just show up and do the interviews. And she charges, the last time I heard it was like around $4,000. Okay, so that's to have somebody do it for you from nuts to bolts. Now, if you're doing it yourself, again, you're having to do all the research yourself anyway. And let's see, after that, the technical piece, what it costs is it's like $100 for optimized press. Lead pages is $30 a month. There's little nickel and dimey stuff like that. And the rest is just your time. It's just your time. That's all it is. You can hire a VA to help you with part of it, or you can put more of your time into figuring out how to do that yourself too. So, high end, having somebody do the whole thing for you, is $4,000. Low end is, I don't know, a couple $100 for the software. Certainly not more than that. And then there's stages in between. Let's see now. Oh my goodness. John, you have just made an absolutely awesome statement. John says, it sounds as if the Telesummit project is a part of your market research for your premium product. Yes, you got it. Absolutely. That is the other thing is that, and that's what is so brilliant about this model is that you don't even have to know who your target market is. You don't have to be totally clear on that. And you don't have to even be clear on your niche. So once you do your list build, once you do your telesummit, I've seen so many entrepreneurs, they struggle for months. Like, who is my target market? I don't know. They're, middle-aged, whatever, that have this and are struggling. How can you figure that out sitting in your home office by yourself or your kitchen? You can't. Well, here's what's so great about the telesummit. You just collect these experts, ask them questions that you want to know the answers to anyway. And then once you get the list, you turn around and you survey them and you say, who are you people? And that's who your target market is. It's uncanny. You will always attract the people who you are meant to attract, and you will find a similarity among them too. It's really amazing. So yes, it is market research. And then your niche, then you ask them, well, what are you struggling with? So before you sit there and try to figure out in a vacuum what these people are struggling with, you ask them, and almost every time without exception, you know, when the entrepreneur is trying to figure out their niche, they're close, but not really no cigar. You know what I'm saying? And when they survey their list, now their list tells them what their niche is. Their list tells them what they need and how they can help them. And it's always just a little bit different from what the entrepreneur in a vacuum thought that it was. So great. It is market research. Absolutely. Yay, Laura. I'm looking forward to talking with you as well. Let's see now. Oh, now season about designing the premium program. That's probably a little bit outside the scope of tonight's discussion. And again, what I can tell you though, is that again, your list will help you inform that. It all starts with the list. You need a couple of thousand people. So a lot of times, we see, I know when I was networking, I started building my business with networking. Slow process. But what's great about it is you get face to face. When you look in somebody's eyes and you say something, and they go, okay, whatever. You can tell right away. Oh, okay, that didn't work. But you really need, when you just are like sitting around trying to figure out what you should offer, and you're polling your three best friends, your mother and your dog, you you can't really, that's not a big enough of a market sampling, to really see, because your best friends are going to go, oh God, that sounds great, and your dog's going to wag his tail and go woof, and you're thinking you're on the right track. You really need at least a couple thousand people before, to survey, to see, to test. That's one of the secrets of all multi 6 and 7 figure earners, is that they all test. You got to take action. You can't figure something out in a vacuum and then put all your oof behind it and push it out there and expect it to be really successful. You got to just do it. Just like pick something, anything, but you have to have an audience to test it to. See? So you pick something, whatever, some message, some program, whatever it is, and you push it out there to your audience of several thousand so that you have a big enough market sample. And then they're going to tell you if it's working or not. And then you tweak it. So release, tweak, release, tweak. You got it? All right. Let me see if there's any other questions. Okay, so Angeline asked, do we have to give anything to those being interviewed? No, no. So again, this is a win-win-win situation. It's a win for you because you are, of course, building your list, but it's also a win for these experts because you have to realize they are always, I don't care how big you get, you are always going to be concerned with growing your list. That's just, you're adding new people who've never heard of you to your list. That's an ongoing process, no matter who you are. And so these experts, that's why that's their they're how you're paying them is you're exposing them to the other experts in the telesummit, and they're going to offer a free gift at the end of their interview so that people in from the other experts audiences that resonate with them will then sign up to receive the free gift, and voila, they're on their list now. So it's a list growing exercise for the experts as well. There's never any money exchange. There never should be. Oh, John asks, what do you mean by JV partners? Another good question, John. So JV stands for joint venture. So a JV partner is, in a sense, you could say that the experts that you're interviewing on a telesummit are JV partners, because this is a joint venture, except it's not a joint venture for money. It's a joint venture where you're both gaining, or you're gaining people on your email list. You're growing your email list. That's the monetization, shall we say, of that joint venture. But most joint ventures do involve money. So, for example, very often after I host a telesummit, some of the experts that I interviewed that I had a really great connection with will contact me and say, listen, I have this program, and would you promote it to your list? And if you do, I will give you, and of course, it's going to lead their webinar is going to lead to some paid program, usually, 97 or 100, usually $100 or $200. And then they will give me an affiliate fee. They'll give me a percentage of all the sales that they make. So all I have to do is promote it to my list, and then I get a percentage of the sales. So that's an example of a joint venture partnership. And of course, it goes the other way too. If I have a program that I'm selling, I can promote it to their list, and then I'll give them a percentage of the sales. Junior varsity. John was thinking that meant junior varsity. Well, I suppose it could too. All right. So again, if anybody has not, oh, hang on, Angelina's back. However, why did they limit the time to watch that's a good question. Because, Angeline, you're trying to create scarcity. So you don't want to just put something out there that's just out there forever and ever and ever, because it doesn't have as much value, or at least as much perceived value to the participants. So you are less likely to sign up for a telesummit if you just know that the interviews that are going to be that the interviews that are available in this telesummit, you can just pick up anytime. That's a podcast. All right. So that's the difference between a podcast and a telesummit. And you don't have to opt in for a podcast, which goes back to the question I answered earlier, which is what's the difference between a podcast and a telesummit? A podcast will not grow your list. And you have to take additional steps. You have to entice people to give you their email address. Just having a podcast will not grow your list, or it'll grow it very, very, very slowly. You have to have a way and an enticement to get people to give you their email list. Okay. So yes, so that's why. All right. These are all great questions. You guys are engaged and you are on it. Man, I'm so impressed with the caliber of people on this webinar. And I really, really, really genuinely look forward to talking to each and every one of you. If you haven't already, please sign up for that session. Once I receive the application, I will send out a link once you've filled out the application, and we'll get on the phone and talk about your business freedom plan. It has been such a pleasure presenting to you and hanging out with you. Your questions are just delightful, and I really can't wait to get to know each and every one of you a little better. So thank you again so, so, so much. You are on the cutting edge here. The fact that you are taking the time out of your schedule to be here just shows me that you are well on your way towards achieving that freedom business. So thank you. My hat's off to all of you.